I'm going to make sure I can actually see us over here. So let's see if I can oh, get where I need to be. Let's see. I want to make sure I can answer your questions if you have any questions today, because we're going to do a fun technique. And I can't wait to show you. It's relatively simple, but it's called the Joseph's coat technique or Joseph Technicolor coat technique. And it lends a really pretty, there's a lot of texture to the card and color. And so I'm excited to show you this. I'm using the brand new Floral Spray 3D embossing folder. So this is one of our thicker folders and it's very, very large. So if you wanted to do, slimline cards or cards that weren't like your normal size, you can actually have a beautiful piece here. The whole thing, it's very, very huge. So you could definitely have a lot of fun with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of there's two ways to do this technique. One of the ways is to color with blend markers into the concave divots, and the other is to use we're going to do a faster way with some sponge daubers, and I hope that you'll like that. So we're using blushing bride. Nope, we are you my god, that's an old color. Heavens. Barely Blush. Whew, all right. We're using Barely Blush as our base color. Now, when I've done this technique before, I've used white as my base color and I've used blend markers. But I found that using the Barely Blush, it gave some of these items a little bit of color without me having to color every single piece. And I thought that was really nice. So we're going to run this piece through the embossing folder, and when we do, we're going to take our piece, and there's a convex, which is where it comes towards you, and a concave, right, where it goes away from you. And we're going to work on the concave side. So we're going to set that down. I've got some sponge daubers here. And we're going to use three of our new in colors. So we're going to use Crisp Cantaloupe, we're going to use Golden Glow and Peaceful Pine. Okay. And we're just going to work a little bit at a time. I've got one sponge dauber for each of these. And I'm going to use the Crisp Cantaloupe for the major pieces here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get some of this color into the lower parts, right? So of course I'm going to hit some of these high parts, right? But eventually that's all going to get covered with black ink. And so what's nice about this is you don't have to be very accurate. It's pretty forgiving, and same with the markers, which is really nice. That is the only piece I'm going to do with the crisp cantaloupe. So I'm gonna put that aside. I'm going to do Golden Glow. There's a couple of they're not daisies, but they're daisy looking things. And so I'm gonna add some yellow to these daisy looking things here. I don't know. They're probably like mums or something, but there's a couple of them. Okay, so there we go. Great. And then we're going to add a little bit of peaceful pine. There's quite a bit of greenery in here. And sometimes, if you're having a hard time seeing what's here, you can kind of look and say, okay, there's one, two, three of these. There's one of these. All right, there's, three sets of leaves going out this way. So it's kind of nice to look at the reference piece. Sometimes I kind of have to angle it a little bit in order to see what I'm seeing, but I think. Mm-mm-mm-mm. These are some pretty well loaded sponge daubers. So I did this technique in a class here in person. It was super fun, and everybody really loved it and thought it was neat. And so I Yeah, I thought it would be fun to kind of show you guys how to do it. It's been a while since I've done it, and I just thought it was a fun one. Okay, so there's a couple of other styles of leaf. There are these big leaves, and then there are some kind of like branches with leaves. So I'm trying to make sure I get all of these guys and maybe some of these. And I might come in here maybe at an angle just to hit these. Oh, looks pretty good. Okay, perfect. So now you're like, wow, that looks like an absolute mess, Melissa. But here comes the magic. Ready? All right. So we're going to take our ink pad, our black ink pad. This is Memento. This is what I have out. And we're going to swipe across the top. And so when we swipe across the top, right, then what that does is all of those high points are going to be black now, and all the low points are going to stay colored, which is really fun. So you can make this as black as you want. You can go darker. Um, you can push a little harder and get it a little more solid, or you can have a lighter touch. Okay. And there we go. All right. So now that piece is done. I'm going to kind of switch us over. So perfect. And then if you want it, if you're like, oh, I really wish that there was more green here or, whatever, then you could always come back in if you wanted and add a little bit more. I don't really think it's necessary. I think that looks really, really pretty. I have a small strip here. We're going to stamp the sentiment on there. It's from the Sending Salutations stamp set, which, as you know, is my favorite. And I like this sentiment. I hope all things wonderful are headed your way. So we're going to stamp this in pine, peaceful pine. Perfect. And we're going to pop that up with some dimensionals, which hopefully I have some here. Hi. This is funny. I've been using these because I ran out of my other ones. They're here somewhere. I'm just too lazy to go grab them. It's fine. Perfect. And then I thought just one of the little butterflies on here was really cute. So we're going to get into our in color butterflies. These are back in stock. They went out of stock for a week or so there, but they're back. So yay. Thank goodness. And we'll add a little butterfly there and put it on a card base, which might be here somewhere. Let's see. Oh, yes. There we go. So we'll put this whole panel up on. And I'm going to use liquid glue for this because whenever you're embossing paper, there are like high points and low points. And I find that the glue is usually the best thing to kind of glue everything on. I'm out of all my, this is funny. That's good. We got the last drops out, right? All right. We're just going to square that up. There we go. So, really pretty card. Hopefully, you like that technique. And if you have questions, let me know. The other version is to come in with markers and kind of color all of the different sections. Also lovely, but definitely more time intensive. And I don't always have time for that, especially if we're teaching a class and we've got a lot of people sitting around. We want everybody to be able to, have fun and be crafting all at the same time. So, hopefully you like this and we will talk soon. All right. Thanks, everyone. Let me know if you've got any questions. C2Cstamping.com is my website, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. And I would love to have a follow. And if you're not subscribing to me here on YouTube, make sure you do that down below. All right. Thanks so much. See you later. Bye bye.